I think the church in the Western world has had a long decline, in part because of the competition from all sorts of secular alternatives over the past century. This is partly an ideological matter, as individualism has increased at the expense of respect for authority, but it's also a matter of the rise of prosperity and, of course, new technology, new forms of media and entertainment that allow people to spend their times in ways they couldn't even have conceived of 100 years ago.
Does the research show any hope at all of growth in the future?
There are definitely sources of hope. I think the church is trying to innovate and indeed to exploit the new forms of social media and collective action to come up with, to use the jargon, new ways of being church. So one finds these movements within, for example, the Church of England to create fresh expressions of church, new forms of gathering that nevertheless can be seen as ways of participating religiously. Those will be for everything from young children through to the elderly. And the idea is to bring people together outside a conventional congregational setting to do things that they enjoy and would want to do, but also involve some element of worship. So that's one source of hope, the church trying new things and recognizing that there are challenges in the contemporary world. But also, of course, the population is changing. Western populations are no longer just white and European in ethnic origin. They're also black and brown and many other colors, and they come from all over the world. And people in other parts of the world are typically much more religious than they are in Europe, North America, and Australia, and New Zealand. And so this reshuffling of the population has created tremendous growth opportunities for the church in the West.
The census and the British Social Attitudes Survey seem to indicate, both of them, this inexorable decline.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that levelling off at all, or even changing direction?
I think it's very likely that it will level off. I don't think that religion is going to go away. Religion has been a powerful force in the world for as long as we know about human beings, and I think that will carry on. Having said that, there are clear signs that it is less important to most people than it has been in the past. It is very important in the public sphere for reasons that have a lot to do with geopolitical conflicts rather than individual commitment. But we do have evidence from the British Social Attitudes Survey that, and indeed other surveys in other European countries, that the lines are, if you like, bottoming out rather than continuing in a kind of downwards fashion.
And why do people go to church?
This is really the great question. I sometimes ponder it myself. I think they go because they have friends and family and have a form of community there, either a community they've grown up with or one that they've acquired through this form of social participation. For many people, that's a powerful draw, and indeed I know many individuals who have actually stopped being personally very religious and yet are just as actively participating as ever because they can't imagine not being part of that community. So I think the church potentially has a huge amount to offer to people, but of course it is competing with other forms of community.